All right, today we're going to dive into just 3 verses from the Gospel of Matthew. It's a really powerful story, kind of tucked inside another one. It's all about a desperate woman, a chaotic crowd, and a single touch that changed absolutely everything. The story just kicks off like that. Bam. And behold a woman. No name, no introduction, just her sudden presence. And that simple opening makes you immediately wonder, okay, who is she? Why does she matter right now? So to really get the weight of this moment, you have to picture the scene. This is not a quiet teaching on a hillside. Jesus is on an emergency call. A man named Jairus, a synagogue ruler, has just begged him to come save his daughter, who is literally at the point of death. So the crowd is huge, it's pressing in, the tension is super high, and every single second counts. And right in the middle of all this chaos, the story zooms in on this one woman and this incredible burden that she's been carrying. And believe me, it's a burden that's so much more than just physical. 12 years. Just think about that for a second. A dozen years with a chronic, debilitating condition. It's actually the same number of years, by the way, as the age of the little girl Jesus was on his way to heal. That's 12 years of pain, of doctors, of hope just fading away. So what exactly was wrong with her? The text calls it an issue of blood. Now, according to the law of Moses, you can find this in Leviticus chapter 15, this condition had these huge life-altering consequences. It made her ritually unclean, which was a state that went way beyond her physical symptoms, and had probably bankrupted her, spending everything she had on physicians, only to get worse. Being unclean meant total, complete isolation. She couldn't go to the temple to worship. People would have literally gone out of their way to avoid her because they were afraid of being contaminated. Can you just imagine that crushing loneliness? Every chair she sat on, every single thing she touched was considered ritually impure. This wasn't just a medical problem, it was a sentence to social and spiritual exile. And this is exactly why what she does next is so breathtakingly courageous. She decides to do something that breaks every single one of those religious and social rules. This was her inner thought, right? The little voice driving her forward. It's just a statement of pure, focused faith. It's not, if he prays for me, or if he even notices me. No, it's just, if I can get close enough to touch the very hem of his robe, that will be enough. She believed healing power was just radiating from his very presence. So she does it. She pushes through that mob, that chaotic crowd, an unclean woman touching person after person, risking public shame, risking condemnation, until she gets to him. She touches his garment, and the Bible says immediately the bleeding stopped. She felt it in her body. After 12 long years, in a single instant, it was over. But the story doesn't end there with a quiet, secret healing. In the middle of this frantic mission, with a dying girl waiting, Jesus stops everything. And he does it for a very, very important reason. He turns around and asks this question. Just think about how bizarre that must have sounded. He's being mobbed, people are bumping into him from every direction, and he stops to ask about one specific touch. The disciples are just baffled. They're looking at it from a purely physical, logical point of view. What do you mean, who touched me? Everybody's touching you. But Jesus perceived something totally different. He felt divine power leave him. So the key here is that this wasn't just another bump in the crowd. It was a touch of faith that actively drew on his healing power, and he felt it on a spiritual level. Realizing she can't hide, the woman comes forward, and she is terrified. She broke the law, she made the Son of God technically unclean by touching him. Her fear was completely justified. But knowing she's been healed, she just falls at his feet and tells him everything, right there in front of everybody. And what happens next is it's the beautiful conclusion to her story. Jesus' response isn't anger, it's not impatience, it's just deep compassion that gives her a complete and a very public restoration. Just look at these words. He doesn't call her woman, he calls her daughter. That one word instantly restores her to her family, to her community, to her place within Israel. And he doesn't say, my power healed you. He says, your faith has made you whole. He gives her the credit. And that word, whole, it is so much bigger than just healed. Being made whole was a total 4-part restoration. So, physically, the bleeding stopped. Socially, by declaring her healed in public, he ended her exile. Religiously, she was now clean and could go back to the synagogue and the temple. And spiritually, her private act of faith was brought into the light and celebrated for everyone to see.
He didn't just heal her body, he restored her entire life.
So, what are the big lessons from this incredible little encounter? Well, first, that faith isn't just a thought we have, it's an active principle that reaches out. Second, his power is accessible. It was her faith that actually drew it from him. It also shows us that he sees the single person, even in a mob. And finally, by calling her out, he turned her private healing into a public testimony that probably strengthened everyone who was there to witness it. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. It's easy to be part of the crowd, isn't it? To just watch things happen from a distance. But this story challenges us to ask ourselves what it means to have a faith that isn't content with just being nearby, but one that actively, desperately, and courageously reaches out to touch.